Welcome to Biggest Spoilars, the destination for exclusive spoilers, latest updates.
Bold and the Beautiful follows Luna Nozawa's gestation, and the maternity test is coming soon. But in the meantime, everybody sees her as a trouble that needs to be dealt with, and notoriety might actually deal with her permanently, like terminally. We're going to talk about whether notoriety takes drastic action and hurts Luna. She might die while she's still pregnant, or commodity may beget her to have a confinement and indeed nearly die herself. Bold and the Beautiful, Luna's gestation maternity test and implicit pitfall. So, by the end of this week, or conceivably on Monday after a Friday thriller, we're going to find out if Will Spencer is the father of her baby, which I do suspect he is, at least on the primary test. But I just can't imagine Bold and the Beautiful having Luna tied to Will and the Spencer family ever. So, I'm wondering if commodity dark happens soon to make sure that gestation no way goes full term. This week, Katie Logan brings Bridget Forrester over to the Spencer mansion to run the DNA test on Will and Luna, and I feel like the test is going to say Will's the daddy because that's the worst possible outgrowth. Luna seems so trim and assured that it'll come out that way. This would turn Electra Forrester's, Steffi Forrester's, and everybody's lives outside out. But at the same time, it's hard to imagine he's going to get down with it all, that she's going to get everything she wants, a Spencer heir-at-law in her arms, and will stuck with her ever-ass co-parent. I just can't see Bill Spencer, the Forresters, the Logans, and everybody putting up with Luna being on the loose indefinitely. Bold and the Beautiful, who will target Luna? Exploring the suspects. So, that has me wondering if commodity is going to be to Luna while she's pregnant so that Will and the others can be free of her. Notoriety could target Luna and do commodity that would kill both her and her future child, or she may lose Will's eye and suffer a near-death experience if notoriety targets her. Deliveries are so common on detergents, so it's an absolute possibility. I suppose every womanish character on that show, just about, has had a confinement. Bold and the Beautiful, Bill Spencer, A Father's Revenge? My first study is Bill. He may snap, and he'd surely kill Luna. He's not opposed to hurting a pregnant woman. Just ask Amber Moore Forrester. Bill tried to kill her when she was pregnant back in the day, and she claimed that it was Liam Spencer's baby. The fact that she was pregnant and carrying a Spencer didn't disconcert Bill. He was ready to drop her off a deck. Bold and the Beautiful, Steffi Forrester protects her family. Next, of course, to consider is Steffi. She has lots of reasons to try and kill Luna. First, Luna tried to kill her doubly, at least, formerly with a stranding ball, formerly with a pellet. Steffi is hysterical that Luna will come after her or someone she loves, like Finn Finnegan Hayes Forrester Finnegan. Steffi may suppose Luna Nozawa has to die formerly and for all so everyone can be safe. Bold and the Beautiful, Grandma Lee's remorse. Another suspect is Grandma Lee Finnegan, who seriously regrets saving Luna's life. Lee risked her career and freedom by hiding Luna after she shot Sheila Carter. Now, Lee may lose control and finish what she started, pushing Luna downstairs or off a deck, conceivably ending her gestation. Also there's Electra. But she may lash out in tone defense. However, Electra could avenge and accidentally injure Luna poorly enough to beget a confinement, if Luna strikes again. It would devastate Electra, but it might eventually end Luna's reign of terror. Bold and the Beautiful, Luna's dangerous path. The last person to consider is Luna herself. She could bring about her own downfall through recklessness, go after Electra in a jealous rage. Luna might end up hurting herself and losing everything. No matter how it happens, it seems as on espoused time, and commodity might be to her and / or the baby, which would free Will from her for good. So, stay and see how it plays out. The air in the Forrester Creations maternity ward was thick with a sterile sweetness, a futile attempt to mask the underlying scent of antiseptic and anxiety. Hope Logan Spencer, her face pale and glistening with a post-birth sheen, lay against the propped-up pillows, her arms cradling the impossibly small, swaddled form of her newborn son. A perfect, pink-faced miracle. They had already decided to name Liam Little Bear Spencer too. The name was a tribute, a chain linking the past to the future, a hope for a stability that had always eluded his parents. The joy in the room, however, was a fragile soap bubble, beautiful and iridescent but destined to pop. It was Thomas Forrester who first noticed the shift. His artist's eye, so attuned to the nuances of form and expression, saw the exact moment the light in Luna Nozawa's smile flickered and died. She had been fluttering around the room, a vibrant butterfly in a world of beige, refilling water pitchers, adjusting blankets, her laughter a tinkling bell of genuine delight for her cousin Hope. She was the unexpected rock, the cheerful presence in a family often defined by its drama. "Luna?" Thomas's voice was a soft query, cutting through the gentle chatter. "Are you all right? You've gone pale." Luna's hand, which had been reaching for a tissue, fluttered to her own forehead. A faint, strained smile touched her lips, but it didn't reach her eyes. I'm just a little lightheaded. The excitement, I think. Maybe I need some air." "Sit down, sweetheart," Brooke Logan urged, her maternal instincts immediately engaged. She guided Luna to a nearby chair. "You've been running yourself ragged. You need to rest, too." But rest was not what Luna needed. As she sank into the chair, a tremor ran through her, subtle at first, then more violent. Her breath hitched, a sharp, painful intake that had nothing to do with emotion. "Luna?" Hope's voice was laced with sudden fear, her own exhaustion forgotten. She tightened her grip on her son. Before anyone could react further, Luna's body convulsed. A low moan escaped her lips, and her eyes, wide with a terror that was both profound and confusing, rolled back into her head. The cheerful, vibrant young woman who had been cooing over a baby moments before was now a rigid, seizing form in the vinyl chair. Chaos, cold and efficient, descended. Alarms were pressed, voices sharpened into urgent commands. Nurses and doctors flooded the room, their practiced hands moving Luna from the chair to a gurney. The family was ushered out, a tide of shocked and bewildered faces, Hope, Thomas, Brooke, Ridge, all staring helplessly as the doors to the emergency room swung shut, swallowing Luna whole. The wait was a torturous limbo. Prayers were whispered, theories muttered in hushed, frantic tones. A sudden infection? An undiagnosed heart condition? A reaction to something? The questions hung in the air, unanswered and terrifying. When the doctor finally emerged, his face was a mask of grim professionalism that failed to hide the truth in his eyes. The words he spoke were clinical, meant to soften the blow, but their meaning was a sledgehammer. "We did everything we could. It was a rare and catastrophic amniotic fluid embolism. It's unpreventable, untreatable. I'm so sorry. She's gone. Gone." The word echoed in the stark hallway, sucking all the air, all the sound, all the hope from the world. Poppy Nozawa, who had arrived in a flurry of panic, let out a wail that seemed to tear from the very fabric of her soul, a raw, animalistic sound of loss. She collapsed against Bill Spencer, who had arrived moments before, his presence a jarring note of corporate power in the scene of medical tragedy. Bill held Poppy, his face a granite slab of shock. But beneath the shock, in the deep, calculating recesses of his mind, a single, treacherous thought began to coil, serpent-like, "This feels familiar." A grief observed, a suspicion born. The days that followed were a study in contrasting sorrow. For Hope and the Forresters, the loss was a dark stain on what should have been their brightest moment. Luna's absence was a palpable void. The nursery, once filled with her optimistic chatter as she helped Hope arrange onesies, was now a silent, painful space. Hope found herself weeping not just for the cousin she had grown to love, but for the fact that her son would never know the radiant woman who had been so present at the very dawn of his life. Her grief was pure, unadulterated by anything but the ache of loss. For Poppy, the grief was all-consuming. She was a ghost in her own home, clutching one of Luna's brightly colored scarves, drowning in a sea of what-ifs and regrets. She had spent years separated from her daughter, and their reunion had been too brief, the time stolen from them cruelly and arbitrarily. Her tears were for lost years and a stolen future. And then there was Bill Spencer. Bill's relationship with grief had always been transactional. He understood power, leverage, and strategy. Sudden, inexplicable death did not compute. As he oversaw the grim arrangements, his mind, honed by decades of corporate warfare and personal betrayals, would not quiet. He watched Poppy's devastation, and he felt a genuine, protective anger. But he also watched the narrative unfold, and it felt staged. Standing in his office at Spencer Publications, the Los Angeles skyline spread out before him like a kingdom he commanded. He voiced his suspicion to his ever-loyal lieutenant, Justin Barber. "It doesn't add up, Justin," Bill stated, his voice a low growl. He swirled a glass of amber whiskey, the ice cubes clinking like tiny warning bells. "A healthy young woman, in a top-tier hospital, just drops dead minutes after a baby is born? From some one-in-a-million medical event?" Justin, ever the pragmatist, shrugged. "Tragedy doesn't play the odds, Bill. It happens." The doctors confirmed it. "Doctors confirm what they see," Bill countered, his eyes narrowing. "They don't look for a con. But I do. It's what I do." He set his glass down with a definitive thud. "Poppy told me everything. How Luna died once before, back in Shanghai. A desperate ploy to escape some low-level thug she was indebted to. She faked her own death, broke her mother's heart, and started a new life. She's done this before, Justin. She has form." The pieces, in Bill's mind, began to click into a sinister mosaic. Luna's past was a shadowy thing, filled with hardship and desperate choices. What if motherhood, the immense, terrifying responsibility of it all, had spooked her? What if the life of a forester, with its relentless public scrutiny and expectations, was a gilded cage she hadn't anticipated? Or worse, what if there was another threat, another debt, another man from her past who had found her? She saw a way out, Bill mused, his voice cold. A clean break. No messy goodbyes, no explanations. Just vanish. Let everyone mourn, let the world move on, while she slips away to another continent to start over, yet again. She's using our grief as her camouflage. Justin looked skeptical. "Bill, that's a hell of a leap. To put her mother through that again? To abandon everyone? For what?" "For freedom," Bill said, the word tasting like ash. "Or for fear? You didn't know her past." "I do. A cornered animal will do anything to escape. Even break its mother's heart a second time." His suspicion became an obsession. He started making calls, using his considerable resources to probe the edges of the official story. He wanted the security footage from every camera within a mile of the hospital. He wanted to know if any private jets had been chartered under obscure aliases. He was no longer just a grieving quasi-stepfather, he was a hunter, and the ghost of Luna Nozawa was his prey. Encouraging words, the shield of a mother's love. Bill's campaign of doubt began subtly. He would sit with Poppy in her silent, darkened living room, holding her hand as she wept. "We have to be strong, Poppy," he would say, his voice a low, soothing rumble. "We have to be the rocks right now. For hope, for the baby." His words sounded like encouragement, but they were the foundation for something darker. "The human body is a mystery," he murmured one evening, as Poppy stared blankly at a family photo. "For a doctor to call it catastrophic and untreatable, it just feels so convenient. Almost like a script." Poppy looked up, her red-rimmed eyes clouded with confusion. "What are you saying, Bill? That the doctors are lying?" "No, not lying," he said carefully, choosing his words like a surgeon selecting a scalpel. "But perhaps they were presented with a situation designed to have only one conclusion. Luna was a survivor, Poppy. She knew how to disappear. She proved that. I have this gut feeling that we're not seeing the whole picture. That our girl might be smarter, and more resourceful, than any of us gave her credit for." He was reframing the narrative. He was taking Luna's past act of desperate deception and repackaging it as a testament to her cleverness. He was planting the idea that this ultimate betrayal could, in fact, be a testament to her strength. It was a perverse form of encouragement, designed to give Poppy a sliver of impossible hope, a hope that would ultimately serve Bill's own need for answers. When he spoke to Hope, his approach was different, tailored to her empathetic nature. "Hope," he said, visiting her at the cabin, his gaze falling on the sleeping infant in her arms. "That little boy is a blessing. Luna would have wanted you to focus on that, on this pure, beautiful love. Don't let the darkness of this situation overshadow his light." Hope, fragile and sleep-deprived, nodded, tears welling in her eyes. "I know. It's just so hard. She was so happy for me." "She was," Bill agreed, his voice softening into a convincing imitation of warmth. "And that happiness felt real. But we all know Luna carried shadows. If, and this is just a thought, if she felt, for whatever reason, that her presence here had become a danger to you, or to this baby, isn't it possible that the most loving thing she could do was to remove herself? To stage a tragedy so complete that no one would ever come looking for her, thus protecting you all from whatever she was running from?" Hope looked horrified. "No. Luna would never, she wouldn't put us through this pain. Not again." "Wouldn't she?" Bill pressed gently. "If she believed the alternative was worse? A mother's love makes her do unimaginable things, Hope. You know that better than anyone. Perhaps Luna's love for you and your son took a form we can't yet understand." He was weaponizing Hope's own core philosophy, love, and twisting it into a justification for a monstrous deceit. His encouraging words were not meant to heal, but to probe, to test his theory, and to recruit unwitting allies to his cause. He was building a case, not for a court of law, but for the court of his own unshakable conviction. Angry threats, the hunter's ultimatum. As days turned into a week, Bill's private investigation hit wall after wall. The hospital stood by its diagnosis. There was no evidence of foul play, no mysterious withdrawals, no sightings. The world had accepted Luna's death. Everyone but Bill Spencer. His frustration began to curdle into a cold, sharp fury. The subtle hints and gentle probing were getting him nowhere. It was time for a different tactic. If Luna was alive and in hiding, she would have an accomplice. She would need resources, a new identity, a way to stay underground. And his prime suspect was the one person who knew the truth of her first death, the one person whose life was also irrevocably tied to Luna's past, her mother, Poppy. The scene was a brutal shift from the previous, softly spoken insinuations. Bill confronted Poppy in her apartment, the space still heavy with the scent of Luna's perfume. "It's time to stop the act, Poppy." Bill's voice was no longer a soothing rumble but a whipcrack of authority. All pretense of shared grief was gone. Poppy stared at him, her face a mask of shock. "Bill? What act? What are you talking about?" "I'm talking about your daughter," he thundered, causing her to flinch. "I know she's not dead. I know this is another one of your elaborate schemes. Just like in Shanghai. Did you think I wouldn't figure it out? Did you think you could play me for a fool? You're insane." Poppy cried, tears springing to her eyes anew, but this time from anger and fear. "My daughter is dead. She's gone. How can you say these things to me?" "Because they're true," he roared, stepping closer, his presence dominating the room. "I have people digging, Poppy. They're tearing apart her past, and they're going to find the thread that leads to her. And when they do, the wrath that comes down on everyone involved will make your worst nightmare look like a pleasant dream." He was in her space now, his finger jabbing the air near her face to punctuate his threats. "If you know where she is, you will tell me. Now. Or so help me, Poppy, I will destroy you. Spencer Publications has a global reach. I will bury you in litigation. I will make sure every sordid detail of your life, every back-alley deal, every secret you've ever tried to hide, is splashed across the front page of every newspaper on the planet. You will have no peace. You will have no life. You will be a pariah." Poppy was trembling, backing away from him. "You're a monster. My daughter is dead, and you're torturing me with these lies." "They're not lies," he snarled. "This is a threat, Poppy. A promise. If Luna thinks she can just walk away from the life she built here, from the people who cared for her, and leave this trail of devastation in her wake, she is profoundly mistaken. And if you are helping her, you are an accomplice to this cruelty. He leaned in, his voice dropping to a venomous whisper. The game is over. You tell her that. Bill Spencer is not one of her gullible marks from Shanghai. I am the end of the road. She can either come out of hiding on her own, or I will drag her out, and the world will see her for the lying, manipulative coward she truly is. The choice is hers. But know this, I will not rest. I will not stop. I will burn down everything and everyone in my path until I have the truth. He turned and stormed out, leaving Poppy shattered and sobbing on the floor. The kind, protective billionaire was gone, replaced by the ruthless corporate raider, a man who saw a conspiracy in a tragedy and was willing to desecrate a grave, real or imagined, to prove he was right. His anger was a force of nature, untamed and destructive. A storm that threatened to sweep away the fragile beginnings of new life and the sacred memory of the departed. The line between righteous protector and vengeful persecutor had not just been crossed, it had been obliterated. In the wake of his fury, two starkly different realities now existed, one of a family mourning an unimaginable loss, and another of a man hunting a phantom. And caught in the chasm between them was the truth, whatever it may be, waiting to be discovered, with the power to either grant a twisted absolution or compound a tragedy beyond repair. The legacy of Luna Nozawa was no longer just one of light and love, but was now irrevocably tangled with the dark, unyielding threads of suspicion, threats, and a love so twisted it had become indistinguishable from hate.